Well, it's time now to take a look at what's making headlines in the international press. And for that, I'm joined on set by Solange Mougin. Hi, Solange.
Hi, Haxi.
You're taking a look at the very latest from the mayoral race here in Paris. Tell us more.
Yeah, 20 Minutes, the commuter daily, it tells us as the Macron government had sort of sent out an emergency call, a sort of SOS to its health minister, Agnès Buzyn. She announced Sunday that she's stepping in for former candidate Benjamin Griveaux, who backed out of the race Friday after a sex tape of his was published online. Now, Libération says that Buzyn sort of came to the bedside or to the rescue of the En Marche party in her saying, quote, "I'm going for it, I want it." The paper says the doctor's determination is a good thing because the race ahead is not going to be easy. Now, for L'Opinion, the fact that there are only 4 weeks until Parisians head to the polls means that Buzyn's candidacy is a risky one, as she faces a formidable challenger in the current Paris mayor, the socialist Anne Hidalgo, as well as other challengers on the right. But the paper says that for the government, the risk of looking bad, of having their former health minister pass the baton on such things as the nation's coronavirus and hospital workers' strikes, how they're dealing with those things, is worth the risk. That for Macron, having one of his people in Paris, leading Paris, would be a major boost to his policies.
And a lot of French papers today talking about what this Griveaux sex tape scandal means for French politics, what it means for privacy as well in the country.
Yeah, La Croix, the Catholic paper, warns that the impact of the scandal goes beyond the election. It says that it brings to light yet again how online campaigns, especially ones emanating from Russia, are quote-unquote a trap. The paper says they are a danger to democracy. Now, Le Figaro is looking at the investigation by police of Russian performance artist Piotr Pawlenski, who admitted to publishing the sex tape in order to combat quote-unquote the hypocrisy of the candidate's family values platform. Both Pawlenski and his girlfriend are being held for questioning. And Le Parisien tells us that the police are also looking into a third person's role in the publishing of what was meant to be a private sex tape. Now, there was nothing illegal about this tape. It was just a private sex tape that went public. Now, this third person is a far-left lawyer who denies that there's any Russian government role here, something the paper says that the police have confirmed, saying at this stage there is no link to Moscow or the Kremlin. But the paper also interviews a Russian specialist who says that it is possible that Pawlenski could have served as a, quote, useful idiot to the powers that be.
Well, shifting gears now entirely to Libya. Today marks the 9th anniversary since the start of the Libyan revolution. The UN saying that the ceasefire and arms embargo supposedly in place continue to be broken regularly.
Yeah, the UN Special Envoy went so far as calling the arms embargo a joke this past weekend. And the pan-Arabic paper Arabi Al-Jadid also says the truce is being held together by a thread. Now, they denounce, quote-unquote, the curse of chaos, that for years the Libyan people have suffered while military and political battles influenced by foreign powers have kept the Libyan people from reaching the objective of their revolution, freedom and democracy. Now, the Emirati paper, has a more optimistic stance. They say progress was made at the Berlin conference yesterday and that, quote, the words of Berlin must now be followed by deeds, and that progressive measures, quote unquote, are being made towards reconciliation between the two warring sides and also between the foreign powers that support them.
OK, well, now to Cameroon, where Boko Haram insurgents are thought to have targeted multiple villages in the northwest of the country.
Yeah, the local paper, Journal de Cameroon, tells us that a series of assaults by Boko Haram fighters, including the burning of a medical center, occurred on the border of with Nigeria this past weekend. Now, the attacks come as well as a trial of Cameroonian soldiers is picking up again today in Yaoundé. Now, as Le Monde tells us, the soldiers are accused of wrongfully killing in 2015 2 women and their children on suspicions that they were helping Boko Haram fighters. And as Le Monde says, quote, the trial reveals the extent of the chaos that reigns in the country, end quote. And there's a mimetism going on, they say, that the violence of Boko Haram fighters is being copied by government soldiers in what one researcher calls a sort of necropornography, end quote. A climate that's all the more disturbing considering the tensions between French and English-speaking areas of the country. In another Another article, Le Monde, tells us that at least 22 people, over half of whom were children, were killed in an attack in Nutambo in the northwest. Now, the opposition blames the army. The government says they have nothing to do with it. But in the past 3 years, some 3,000 people, at least 3,000 people, have died in unrest between separatists and government forces.
Now, Solange, finally from you, you found an article about the myths and also the pitfalls of doing a job you love. Tell me more.
Yes, I couldn't end on killings, so I found something about our work here. But perhaps this is an article by Slate for anyone who loves their job, and it tells us about some of the possible negative side effects or wrong perceptions about such passion jobs. For example, the notion that since you get paid for your passion, you shouldn't ask for more money, or the notion that you're lucky to do this job that so many other people want to do, therefore you shouldn't be too picky or demanding, or scenarios where society praises people for being obsessively passionate about their jobs, which researchers in the article tell us doesn't necessarily lend to a balanced, happy life.
That all does sound rather familiar, Solange. Solange Buzyn with a look through the international papers. Thank you very much indeed. And you can catch this press review along with many others on our website, france24.com. Please do head to the site if you fancy taking a look at those.